Sabres Live is presented by Seneca Resorts and Casinos. Nothing else comes close.
We are going to overtime!
What an edition of Sabres Live Overtime. My goodness, what fun was had on the road. We are the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, and we are walking away from Chicago very happy, in part because of what we saw on the ice, but I think in general, just kind of the love we felt, Marty. It was a good time at the United Center.
Just a little casual trip to Chicago, left on Saturday, got there, got ran into Matt, our director, and man, I'm still envious of his hot skillet cookie and chocolate chip cookie and ice cream. I think that's what I should have done. Very beautiful day Sunday, the game, the Bills win, the Sabres win, and then we make our way back on Monday. I mean, a casual trip to Chicago, and a lot of Sabres fans there, and it was great.
This or that, 2 points or 2 hours sleep? What do you think I'm running on?
Well, you're running on both, the 2 points from the game and the 2 hours of sleep. I don't want to say I'm more responsible. I got 6.5. So I did the math last night. I got 6.5 hours. It's a pretty solid night when we had an early flight this morning.
Well, here's the thing. I'd be nowhere without you. And I mean that literally, because like if I didn't have this scarf, like what would I be doing? So this is the only way I can survive the elements. And Lord knows the elements are probably coming within the next 48 hours. So I'm trying to savor every last bit of sunshine here in Western New York.
Yeah. And then, you know what? I'll tell you this. I want to say thank you for checking up on me as I made my way back to the hotel after we grabbed some food last night. And you checked, and did you make it back? Because as we ran into Tony Granado in the lobby at the hotel, and he said, make sure, you hang together. It could be a little sketchy sometimes in some parts of Chicago. I made my way back by myself. We're only 2 blocks away. And you checked on me. You texted me like 10 minutes later. Did you make it yet? Like just making sure that you were going to send the troops after me if something had happened. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. In hindsight, like what help would I have been? What if you didn't respond? Oh my. Anyway.
You know what I should have done? I shouldn't have respond for half an hour just to see if you were like circling like around. Marty, where are you?
Yeah.
There's a river. Let's go. Let's check the river.
Could have been disastrous. I had an open tab at the time. I came running after you. Who knows what would happen? Yeah. Honestly, love Chicago, love the experience. And you mentioned Matt Gould, Joe Pinter, Jason Weiss, Danny Bellis, our traveling crew. It was a ton of fun. And honestly, our on-site crew in Chicago was so amazing. We had such an incredible view. And I just, that's kind of an area where I want to go here, because we all view the game differently. And it doesn't matter where you're sitting, comforts of home, in arena, whatever, right? And so I sit there and I look, and I don't know, sometimes certain elements of the game really pop, and I think we were probably, the Sabres go 1-1 this weekend, right? And yet it could be debated that they were better for larger portions of the Friday game than they were in the Sunday game, right?
Yeah, it could have been 1-1, but a completely different 1-1. It could have been a 1 in Winnipeg and then a 1 loss in Chicago. The Winnipeg game is when they woke up, right? And that's Don Granado who said they woken up. The third period was really good. The Rasmus Dahlin taking ownership and playing one of his best game of the year against Winnipeg, and he carried it through with 3 points, a goal and 2 assists in Chicago Sunday. Was not as spectacular, like with the puck and everything, but he still did what he had to do. But no, I really felt like it could have been the other way. It could have been a 2-0 trip, and it could have been a 0-2 trips, and we played decent and just couldn't come up with a win. So 1-1 in those 2 games. There's still a game in Washington Wednesday on that road trip. So yeah, I feel like it was good. Was it great in Chicago? It wasn't great. Did they squeeze that one, just by a third period goal? And, yeah, but there's definitely was some bright spots in those 2 games.
You notice the hat I'm wearing?
Yes.
Johnson's Landing. Just
Yes.
for you. 4 Johnson's Landing all at once at the United Center.
Name all the Johnsons that were on the ice in the game Sunday. Eric, Ryan, Reese, and Tyler. So yeah, they're not brothers, people. They no family ties between any of them. Just a last name that looks very familiar.
Just a GWG for Erik. That was the key, right? I mean,
oh my gosh, that was great. I love what he says. So we talked to him after the game, right? We had the interview post game with Erik Johnson, and guys that take those type of shots short side, it's not by mistake. Even Erik Johnson, who, like his best season in the NHL, I think is 12 goals. His best season, in college or the NTDP was 12 goals. Like, he's not a goal scorer. Like, he's just a really, he was a first overall pick, but he's just a very well-rounded, and now has carved himself into a more of a defensive penalty killer, shot blocker type guy. But they still have the skills. So when I asked him after the game if he joins the goalie practice often so that he understands what the goalie position is, what they do in certain situations, he flipped the switch on me. He says, yeah, they love it when I do the goalie practice because I give them a lot of confidence. I don't score often. So I thought it was going to be completely the other way, which was awesome. What a amazing human being, an amazing person. And then he's had a lot of success, as you pointed out, against Chicago. Ends up with the game-winning goal. Nice shot on the short side, attacking the goal line. That was great.
By the way, how's your neck?
My neck is better now because the Advil kicked in. But even in the plane this morning, Duffer, trying to sleep, I was like, man, this is not comfortable at all. Been dealing with Stifaruski necky for 48 hours, but the Advil's kicked in, so I'm all right.
Is he Latvian?
Yeah, he is Latvian. Yeah, absolutely. The right side is Latvian. The right side is, I don't know what's another country over there, but yeah.
You're unbelievable. This or that, true sign of friendship. The way you looked at me on the postgame last night, or skipping TSA pre-check to hang with your buddy in line.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think skipping TSA pre-check is probably was a big I don't want to call it a sacrifice.
A sign of endearment.
Well, you know what though? I looked back, and I don't want to say this because then it makes me look a little not as nice, but I think the TSA pre-check had a longer line than the actual regular check-in at the airport. So, and the girl looked at me when I gave her my ID, and she's like, your TSA pre-check. I'm like, yeah, I'm with my buddy over here. We're fine. And she kind of was like, but I looked down the other room, and it looked like it was a long TSA pre-check line. So didn't even have to take her shoes off. Usually it's TSA pre-check only, and we didn't have to do that either today. So I'll say this once again. Loved our location at the United Center. Loved the interaction we had with Sabres fans. The Bills game was on the TV right by the bar where we were, so we got to watch the Bills game, and there were some fans there walking by, hey, Duffer and Marty, hey, yelling and like saying hi. It was like we were in Buffalo. It was literally like we were in Buffalo. The amount of fans that stopped by, said hi. They were on the post game. They came and just, stood behind us. It was awesome. What a turnout.
2 B's for you, Mr. Biron. Benson and Bedard. Let's start with the Sabre player first. Is he going to be extending his time for a much longer time this year here in Buffalo?
Look, I've said it all along. I don't care if he plays game number 10.
I know you don't care, but I'm asking a question and people want your opinion.
So is he earning his roster spot every single day that he's playing, that he's practicing? Yes. Does he make the team better? Yes. That's all you can ask for. That's all you want, right? I know he's 18. I know he could go back to juniors, but the way that he's playing, it's like you don't have to think too much about it. Now, if he had come back from the injury and he was struggling to find some confidence, he didn't have the puck often, didn't produce, and the production is, I don't have to have 50 points out of Zack Benson this year. It's not about production, but the way that he found Rasmus Dahlin for the first goal of the game against Chicago, he's patient on the half wall. He waits. Boom, that's a nice pass. That play alone is like, the guy is NHL player, and he makes your team better. So, look, if at game 25 he doesn't, and all of a sudden you have a Jack Quinn that's returned to the lineup, you have maybe a couple of call-ups from the Rochester Americans that have a role in how they play, and you want to have him finish the season in juniors, make the decision then. Right now, the decision is, for me, he makes the team better. He makes his line mates better. Like, we've talked a lot about Casey Milstead, how he made his line mates better. I didn't think Casey had a good game against Chicago. But you look at Zack Benson, still like found a way to get things done and play well. So I'm saying he made that line better. Yes, he's staying.
What about first insight viewing as a Sabres analyst watching Connor Bedard?
Guy's pretty slick. I mean, he has the moves. He has the puck on his stick a lot. He has a fantastic shot. The Kurashev goal was, Connor Bedard shooting the puck hard with a purpose on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. The rebound came out. It was a goal. But, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. Kurashev, to me, has had a good season with Chicago. He looked good. But there's only one player that made me like, paying attention when he had the puck with the Chicago Blackhawks, and that player was Connor Bedard. Like, I know Corey Perry had a couple of moments, and Nick Foligno had a couple of moments, and there's other players there, but they don't make you get out of your seat right now, just like Connor Bedard. Every time Bedard had the puck, he'd come down the left wing, puck to the middle, kind of give the shoulders, shake a little bit, move to different areas. He was fantastic.
This is our first Sabres Live overtime with Tage Thompson being sidelined for weeks, and we don't know for how long yet, but how do you think they navigate this, knowing, even after a win against Chicago, that they just don't seem to have yet their entire offensive rhythm that they tend to identify with?
Oh, I think it makes the middle of the ice, a couple of steps behind. And what I'm saying is the center position. Like, Tage is such an important part of the center position that everybody falls in line after Tage. So now you have Dylan Cousins in that spot. I don't think that Dylan is up to speed after missing a few games and then having the full facial protection, the bubble, right, the visor and all. So I can't wait till he gets that thing off. And I understand that you have to be safe, and that you don't want to re-injure what's going on, but I can't wait. I feel like it's really hindering his ability to make plays and to see the ice. But then after that, like, if Casey has a great game, great. But Chicago, Casey didn't have a great game, and now you're, if Peyton Krebs, you're rolling three centers. It's not easy. So the absence of Tage Thompson is massive right now. I almost feel like they are going to have to make a couple decisions roster wise, and maybe after Thanksgiving, early December, waiting and seeing on Jack Quinn, but they may be a need for a call up at center to be able to give him force center down the middle. I know Tyson Jost could do that as well, but if you run Cousins, Middlestat, Krebs, and Jost, I don't think it has that same push that you could have if you maybe brought in Kulich in that situation, or, obviously when Tage is there.
When you're serious about the game, bet on Buffalo at the only sports books in Western New York. Seneca Resorts and Casinos betting counters are open daily, and self-service betting kiosks available 24/7 at all three locations. Whether you visit Seneca, Niagara, Allegheny, or Buffalo Creek, the Sports Lounge features the latest lines and multiple screens, so you never miss a play. The sportsbook at Seneca Resorts and Casinos, where the love of the game meets the thrill of the win. You mentioned Jiri down in Rochester. Now, at the same time, you mentioned him. He scored, of course, on Saturday, but he's Zach Rosen out of 4-point game and is technically leading the Amerks. Not technically, he is leading the Amerks in points right now and is top 10 in the AHL. I think, given the dynamic of not having Tage, boy, oh boy, like, if you're calling up one of them, that's an awful lot of pressure, right? Or two of them. Here we go. Two. Back to our, kind of theme off the top of the show. I don't know, man. Are they a duo?
Well, I feel like they are. And I like that they would maybe have something familiar to rely upon. Look, I don't know what the Sabres are going to do. Right now, they've got 3 goalies. They have 8 defensemen, right? So that's a roster heavy on that side. You don't have the flexibility at this moment to be able to say, hey, we're going to give Kulich and Rosen a chance together, and we're going to put them on the same line. Maybe it is with, Zack Benson. Can you imagine rolling those three kids together and saying, hey, let's see what you got? And maybe that puts Greenway back with Middlestat and Peterka. And all of a sudden you have Cousins, Skinner, Tuck, Middlestat, Greenway, Peterka. Maybe you have Kulich and Rosen Benson. Like, okay, I like the sound of that. You have Krebs, Gregerson, Oposo. Maybe the duo coming in would give you that added, step, that added depth. And they obviously have to perform. And that's an unknown. Like, we're not, it's one thing to perform at the AHL level, and then you come up to the NHL. Are you able to perform the same way? So that would be interesting. But I think if you bring them together, then you're really helping each other, feeling comfortable. Because they see each other so well. They read each other so well. Like that you can't take away. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the NHL or beer league. When you have that chemistry, you have it at any level.
Just like you and me.
Well, yeah, waiting and say waving bye-bye to TSC pre-check as I go in,
Hey, since we were just in Chicago, I hate to end on this note, but did your opinion change on whether they should sign Pat Kane?
The Sabres should sign Pat Kane? No, it hasn't changed.
No, it's been.
I'm not at that point yet. And look, you're getting Jack Quinn back. You're obviously Tage Thompson's news is that Tuck has been healthy and Tuck has looked good. He had a couple of really nice moments. He hasn't scored against Chicago, and that stopped his game goal streak at 3 games, 4 goals. But I don't know. I don't see Kane being that fit right now for what Buffalo's trying. Number one, you have to figure your internal game together. If we were a month ago or 2 weeks ago and we're like, hey, they're figuring it out, maybe it would change that. But right now, I don't think that Buffalo has figured out how they want to play for, consistently. And so right now, that's where my energy would be spent, as opposed to say, let's bring in somebody from the outside and it's going to change everything. So I'm not at Patrick Kane moment yet. I'm still not there.
You got any questions for me before we sign off until our return to the airwaves on WGR Sports Radio 550 and MSG?
Yes. Number one, did you go and get cupcakes last night? Because Robert and Dan were talking about these very delicious looking $14 cupcakes. I don't know if you guys decided to do that. So did you or did you not go and stop for cupcakes?
I might have indulged in some of the ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's
big chocolate guy, as you know. So
yeah, I would definitely, man, that. And if anybody is ever in Chicago and they want to go to a nice breakfast place, which I thought we found a great spot, right? It was, I think I still have that thing in my pocket. Yeah, give me a second. I'll tell you. It was Goddess and the Baker. Goddess and the Baker was really good. They had, like, as we walked out, they had the most amazing cookies and muffins that I was like, oh, we should have done that. Instead, we got breakfast sandwiches. You with your coffee, me with my hot chocolate, and it probably could have been 2 hot chocolates. We don't know. But I think that was a good spot. So there was a lot of sweets, a lot of dessert minded ideas for 48 hours in Chicago.
Yeah, and I don't know who's responsible for the add-on pricing there, the Goddess or the Baker, but either way, I think they're doing it right. And obviously, they seem to be functioning quite well, especially on Sunday morning. So, although it was odd that it took us that long to find a place to have breakfast in downtown Chicago on a Sunday morning.
Chicago is a little bit different. Like, there was no breakfast brunch places. We walked for like a half an hour and we didn't see anything. The one we saw, there was a line of 20 people outside. Probably why.
Maybe it's us though, huh? Probably directionally challenged.
Is us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I circled around just to find out. I'm like, is that the lake over there? Like, I had no idea. And I'm usually good with direction. I was completely lost. But you you walked around and looked around for shopping. I didn't do any shopping, but
Mhm.
I would think Chicago is a good shopping city. That's for
Great
sure.
shopping city, one of the best, and one of the best for food and beverage and entertainment. And we certainly indulged in a few of those things. We'll see you tomorrow on Sabres Live.